Here is what's coming up in today's Frontline compilation. A shotgun-armed Ukrainian riding pillion on an ATV twists around as a Russian kamikaze drone shrieks in from the rear. One point-blank blast follows. Does it clip the warhead or come a split second too late? Ukrainian assault troops vault into a Russian trench network while sporadic fire crackles and a drone buzzes overhead. Charges are set, engines rev. What waits inside the bunker when they pull away? Helmet cam captures a Brazilian volunteer coaxing a lone Russian from his fighting hole under an anxious ceasefire. A sudden motion breaks the stillness. Will the standoff end in surrender or a single trigger pull? Drone optics track a bound soldier sprinting down a muddy road toward armed sentries. A rifle rises to the shoulder. How will this split-second decision echo across the front lines? This is real footage. No effects, just raw moments from the battlefield. Subscribe to stay updated on every Frontline report and stick around to see it all unfold. Let's get into it. Artillery camera footage from Ukraine's 43rd Separate Artillery Brigade shows a 152mm shell arcing toward a Russian foxhole near Mala Tokmachka. The round detonates a meter above ground, slicing saplings and catapulting one soldier a full 6 meters through the thin winter canopy. Slow motion analysis estimates 45 grams of acceleration. Dash-mounted video from a Kraz Spartan shows Ukraine's 3rd Assault Brigade bounding toward a Russian trench network outside Avdiivka at first light. The lead fire team dismounts under sporadic PKT fire, lobbing RGD-5 grenades before sliding into the parapet. Inside, they discover only 2 stunned conscripts and a disabled PKM. Resistance instead pours from a camouflaged bunker 20 meters deeper. As the platoon leader radios for drone overwatch, a sapper kneels to arm a 3-kilogram thermobaric charge at the bunker's firing slit. Engines roar as the vehicles reverse. The 5-second fuse is already spitting sparks. Will the blast collapse the maze or merely wake defenders in the next sector? A GoPro fixed to the forend of a Ukrainian Viper 12 shotgun captures a frantic rearward twist atop an ATV on the Oskil floodplain. 3rd September 2024. A Grey Lancet 3 loitering munition barrels in at 140 km per hour. Prop tipped with orange blur. The gunner chambers a flight control buckslug and fires 3 times. On the 3rd, hit the drone's right wing snaps, pitching it into a tumble that ends against the ATV's spare fuel can. Miraculously, the detonator fails to arm. Night vision footage released by Russia's 83rd Guards Brigade illustrates a novel counter-EW tactic near Huli-Ipol. Fiber-optic guided Sfera quads spool translucent cable as they skim power lines, immune to jammers that blanket the sector. Operators thread the drones through windows of 2-story control huts, where Ukrainian Bukovel AD jammers glow on IR. One payload, a shaped charge seeded with tungsten ball bearings, detonates at desk height, shredding racks of spectrum analyzers. A second drone, moments later, crashes headlong into a rooftop generator, showering sparks across sandbagged antennas. Still, radio intercepts suggest a surviving jammer van fled west. Will Kyiv's crews regroup before dawn UAV waves arrive? Helmet cam video places Brazilian volunteer João Carioca Dias and 2 Ukrainians at the lip of a shell hole near Kremina. They coax a lone Russian grenadier upward with shouts of "Ruki Verk" and bursts of tracer overhead. The enemy emerges, hands half raised, eyes darting. As Dias advances to zip-tie him, the prisoner jerks an AK from his thigh holster. Dias double-taps center mass at 2 meters, then instinctively pumps 2 more rounds after the man collapses. Body camera audio captures ragged breathing and a whispered "Akabu, is the encounter finished, or are more unseen riflemen watching?" Helmet cam from a 47th Mechanized Brigade Grenadier shows MRP side doors flying open at the edge of a dark Carpathian-style coppice near Sinkivka. Tracer snaps through budding branches as the squad dashes 10 meters to a shallow tank track depression, firing Malyuk rifles on full auto to drown out a suspected PKT 200 meters beyond. Rain-soaked soil clogs magazines. The platoon sergeant swaps to his GP-25 and loft smoke to mask a flanking section pivoting left. A BMP engine coughs somewhere behind the tree wall. Will Ukrainian AT gunners beat the Iron Beast to first shot? Overhead quadcopter video geolocated to the M01 highway east of Brovary records Russia's 6th Panzer Regiment column idling nose to tail. Suddenly, 3 orange flashes ripple across the asphalt. M777 Excalibur rounds fired from 30 kilometers away. The lead T-90M's ERA bricks detonate like strobe lights. Its turret swings uselessly as road wheels melt. Crews sprint for the tree line while a second volley walks rearward, striking fuel trucks and scattering white phosphorus sparklers over the convoy. Ukrainian artillery spotters mumble "krasivo" as smoke blossoms, but ISR chatter hints at reinforcements barreling down from Chernihiv. Will the guns displace in time? Thermal drone footage shot near Robotine zooms as a lone Russian sapper drops into a zigzag Ukrainian trench, bayonet fixed. Unexpectedly, a Ukrainian rifleman lunges from the opposite bend. The two men grapple, rifle stocks clacking like hardwood. Night vision makes the struggle surreal. Silhouettes merge, then separate as the Ukrainian tears the sapper's NVG mount clean off. A flash of steel, a muffled cry, and the Russian falls limp while the defender snatches an F1 grenade from his chest rig. He hurls it down the adjoining branch and dives. Does the ensuing blast herald allies or more adversaries? A Ukrainian Punisher UAV throttles low over columnar pines in Zhytomyr Oblast, a laser spot dancing on a parked Buk M1 launcher. Seconds later, a precision glide bomb punches through the radar array. Sympathetic detonations. Torch 2 resupply Ural trucks loaded with 9 M38 missiles. Witness mobile phone clips stitched onto the feed show black mushrooms of smoke rising above the snowpack, tires cooking off and sending spirals of rubber skyward. Locals whisper that Belarusian troops had arrived hours before. In the receding concussions, a lone engine sputters. Has one surviving vehicle managed to crawl out of the blast zone? Thermal footage from Ukraine's veteran K2 drone detachment geolocates the scene to orchards outside Velika Novosilka on 26 February 2025. After a GMLRS strike ignites a dugout, a lone Russian corporal scrambles into knee-deep snow, bleeding heavily from thigh shrapnel. A Matrix 600 quadcopter hovers overhead and releases an RKG-1600 bomb that slashes his pack and showers him with ceramic pellets. Desperate, he slaps on a cat tourniquet and bandages. Radio crackling for help. Moments later, a second drone arcs in carrying a PG-7VL warhead. As its shadow passes over him, will the next frame flare white or freeze? Snow-dusted wheat fields near Orikhiv, January 17, 2025. A Russian assault section skirts hedgerows toward Ukrainian trenches, unaware a Leleka 100 UAV has already pinned their grid. An 82mm mortar platoon fires 3-round illumination, then switches to HE with MT-12 fuses set for airburst. The first salvo downs 2 riflemen. Survivors sprint for tree cover, but are met by Mavic-dropped VOG-17 grenades that airburst at chest level. Smoke and screams blend with the hiss of fuses. The platoon commander waves a red flare. Retreat begins, yet a silent recon drone still circles. Have the Russians escaped the grid, or only stepped into the next bracket? Helmet cam shows multinational troops clearing a lane through rubble near Turney when a burst of green tracers arcs in, striking the RPG-7V2 slung on Private Adrian Walsh's back. The rocket detonates but vents forward miraculously, sparing the squad. Walsh, dazed, scrambles into a doorway while the grenadier behind him fires smokes at the muzzle flash 120 meters uphill. Audio logs reveal the ambush came from a pair of Russian SOBR troops covering their retreats. Walsh's comms hiss, RPG cooked, still mobile, but footsteps echo in the alley. Are retreating Russians doubling back for a finish? Mobile phone and drone feeds stitched together place Ukraine's 93rd Mechanized Brigade inside a zigzag trench near Andriivka on 19 March 2025. Opposing riflemen trade volleys at 8 meters. Dirt clods burst as VOG-25 grenades lobbed underhand explode within the breastwork. One Ukrainian crawls atop the parapet, squeezing off 5 shots downward before rolling clear of return fire. A Russian conscript lunges with a bayonet, only to be felled by a point-blank Makarov from a squad leader's side arm. Both sides recoil to opposite bends. The shaky camera glances left, reinforcements rush forward. Will the next exchange decide the trench or prolong the stalemate? Geolocated drone footage shows a bound, blindfolded soldier sprinting along the Bakhmut-Kostiantynivka road toward Russian lines. A lone sentry levels an AK-74M and fires. The prisoner collapses, alive but writhing. The sentry approaches, glances at a distant officer, and fires 3 final rounds at the captive's head. OSINT analysts note field cap flashes of Russia's 98th VDV guards. Whether the victim was a deserter or Ukrainian POW remains debated. but the war crime is unmistakable. The drone lens lingers on cooling blood trails. Do the perpetrators realize satellites are archiving every second? Helmet cam footage places a lone Ukrainian rifleman, call sign Miner, in a sandbagged pit overlooking the slag-black spoil heaps west of Toretsk. Rain taps tin roofing as he sights a PKM on a zigzag tree line 150 meters out, counting muzzle flashes before unleashing 6-round bursts that chop saplings and force Russian scouts prone. Minutes earlier, he radioed artillery for grid 42 UEV 123456. Now he hears outgoing Badana rounds overhead. Shrapnel whistles down, but Miner stays on the gun, scanning for flares that would signal a flanking probe. Will his solitary post hold until reserve squads arrive? Infrared and bodycam clips released by Russia's 144th Guards Motor Rifle Division chronicle a dawn assault through knee-deep sludge toward a Ukrainian trench near Novi Bakhmut. Helmet lights strobe as grenadiers drop into the slot, firing blank adapter drills for propaganda. Yet one unexpectedly live RPG-7 backblast ignites a pile of training mats, revealing that elements of the footage are staged beside real combat cuts. The final segment shows a genuine breach. A sapper sets an RGD-5, but a hidden claymore rips through the trench wall before he can throw. Overhead, All-in-30 footage geolocated to the North Donetsk-Donbass Canal near Velika Novosilka on 30th January 2025 shows 4 Russian BMP-2s halted nose-to-tail on the frost-slick towpath while sappers probe a blown footbridge. Ukrainian 44th Artillery Brigade fires a bracket of precision HIMARS rockets. The first salvo shears the lead vehicle's turret, trapping the platoon in a kill box. As dismounts scramble for cover, a Mavic 3M drops PTAB, 2.5 bomblets that shred fleeing infantry. Radios crackle with calls for smoke, but the canal bank offers no defilade. Will any survivors find a gap through the lethal barrage? Daylight drone video from 5th April 2025 finds Russia's 72nd Motor Rifle Regiment inching across a churned wheat field west of Avdiivka, advancing barely 200 meters before Ukrainian Spartan Brigade gunners zero their D-30 howitzers. Each shell fountains soil and steel. Analysts later count 37 ruined vehicles along a single hedgerow. Despite the carnage, Russian battalion staff still report marginal progress toward the Dniprodnetsk rail spur. Records an officer snarling, "We advance over comrades, not terrain. Twilight cools the barrels, but fresh columns must form by dawn." Composite footage released by Russia's 58th Combined Arms Army Strings, together a dozen FPV drone strikes filmed along the Kupiansk axis. Lancet knockoffs fitted with KZ-6 shaped charges dive into D-30 gun pits, then skim treetops to explode against a Max Pro APC. One sequence shows a loitering quadcopter waiting over an empty trench until heat blooms, then dropping a VOG-17 that bursts at knee height. Russian narrators claim 18 Ukrainian vehicles destroyed, yet satellites show replacements arriving nightly. Blurred GoPro clips show Polish volunteers of Ukraine's 28th Mechanized Brigade, call sign Husaria, holding a factory wall south of Toretsk. A Russian squad with a BPM 97 creeps within 80 meters. Before the Poles fire, a Karl Gustav heat round that blasts the truck's rear door clean off. Switching to PKM sustained fire, they cut down riflemen while a Czech-donated T-72 M1 interdicts the escape route. Jubilant shouts of "Pinkney" echo over the radio, yet thermal scopes still detect movement among debris. Will the next push arrive under darkness? A handheld video from Mariupol's theatre square pans up to 2 Russian T-90Ms idling at a crossroads. Every 30 seconds the tanks traverse turrets toward a 12-story apartment block and fire 3 BM 60DU Sabot, rounds that punch pencil-thin holes through concrete, hunting unseen snipers. Residents drag suitcases beneath the barrels, praying crews hold fire. After 8 volleys, drone footage shows the building still standing but glowing with scattered hotspots. Tank commanders debate switching to thermo barracks. Will civilian presence deter the next escalation? That's today's raw footage. Unfiltered, uncompromised. This is M6 Archive, first on the front lines every day. Subscribe and sound off in the comments if you want more.